Now we will look into another scenario. Um, the scenario number 6.10. When the volume deal is automatically recognized as completed, claims are systematically generated based on the purchasing data and shared with the vendor. The vendor reviews the claims and claim totals. The vendor is invoiced for the claims electronically. So for this scenario, we will be using the vendor Wilson Creek Winery, right? And we will be using this scenario where SBM volume-based deal stating that if they buy 10% more cases this month than the last month, they will give them a 10% discount to cost of all red wine. SBM agrees to this deal. So now what I'm going to do here is assuming that the 10% more is manually calculated and given a value saying that, hey, if anything is purchased above 100 cases, then on that, 100 cases, in that case, you'll get a 10% rebate off, right? So I'll go into my rebate agreements here, and I have set up one promotion rebate agreement, if you can see here. So it's for the vendor Wilson Creek, and for the item that is called as Dark Horse Red Wine. So this is the item number, and I'm using the unit as case. So I'm saying that the minimum quantity should be 100. So I am assuming that the quantity last month was something around 90 and 10% more, so that is 100. So I'm going to do this, and then we have an option of whether we should invoice it or we should accumulate by invoice, week, month, year, or lifetime. So we can do it by month. I mean, if the condition is um, if the condition is such that uh, the rebate can the condition is such that if the purchase reaches more than 100 quantity over a period of month, then I can use the accumulate purchase by month, week, or year. So in this case I'll be using invoice, and here the quantity rebate line break type is quantity because we are calculating the rebate based on the quantity here. And this is where you can define the tiered rebate agreement. So from 100 to infinity it is 10 percentage. So I can add one more line here and say that anything about 200 to infinity it would be 20 percentage of the total value procured, right? So this is the rebate agreement that I have created. So all I have to do is right now create a purchase order, and once I invoices, see that if there is a rebate claim that gets generated or not. So to create a purchase order, I'll go to accounts payable, or we can also go into procurement and sourcing. I'll click on all purchase orders here. Get this open. Yeah, so I have all purchase orders, my form here, and then I'll click on new. I'll select my vendor. I remember the vendor ID. It starts with 2, so I'll just select that. I can have my where site and warehouse mentioned here. I'm using 1 and 13. I'll use the item. So that's my dog has one red wine red blend, right? So I'll in order to get past the threshold or uh, the qualifying value, I'll put this as 200 cases. So the unit price comes from either trade agreement or the item Mastercard, and that's the discount percentage calculated. So the net amount becomes $34,020, right? So I'll quickly do a confirmation to it. Right, the operation is completed, and now I'll receive it. So the receiving confirmation part totally depends on how you set up your matching policy. So if it is a two-way matching, it checks only confirmation. If it is three-way, then it also checks for the product receipt or the GRN, we can say. So here I'm posting a GRN, I can say that. So 102 puts receipt note, or you call it as product receipt. Right, I'm done with that operation. I can go into my invoice, click on generate invoice here. Right, so I can quickly update the match status. So it says passed, and I'll give my invoice number 102. So as soon as this invoice gets posted, so it should calculate 10% of the total line amount here. So it should be 3,400. So let me post the invoice. All right, the vendor invoice posting process is complete for the vendor 25849. So it would have been better if we had a message here saying that the rebate claim was generated. Nevertheless, we'll go into the rebate claims form. We can go into procurement and sourcing module, open up rebate claims. You see that there is a rebate claim that has been created and the amount is 3,780. So I would like to see how this has been calculated. So the value was 10% and the net amount was 37,800, the total purchase amount, and it calculated a 10% of it, which is $3,780. So this is how your rebate claim has been generated. Now the authorized person can actually send this rebate claim to the vendor and get this reviewed. So we don't have an option directly from the system that this goes to the vendor, but we can always set up a email alert which can we can set an alert here saying that, hey, this is a rebate claim that has been generated, can you please approve it, right? So I mean review it or approve, but the approval has to happen from the local user. So I'll click on approve. We will not do the accumulation because it's not accumulated by month or week, and it's on based on the invoice, right? So the rebate was processed successfully. I'll click on process. So we can, for different steps, we can authorize different people basically. Once that is processed, you see that there is a vendor invoice has been created, notification that comes up. So the 002 is a vendor invoice that has been created. So I go into my rebate transactions here and see that there is a vendor invoice that has been generated. Taking a so old one, just yeah, sorry, I have to select this and go to rebate transactions. So this says this is the vendor invoice that has been generated just now, right? You can look into the distribution, you can look into the vouchers and all those details from here. You can look into the transaction, the actual invoice journal transaction that has happened behind the scenes here, right? So once that is done, I will prefer going back to the vendor and doing the settlement against the purchase order that was created just now. So I'll go back to my vendor details. So I'll click on the vendor here. So I would like to check my balance first and check my balance transactions. So my balance currently showed something around 48,000 back. Yeah, so it says 48,384. But what I would gonna do is I'm going to settle this 3,700 rebate that we have just claimed because that has been processed already. So I'll go into my invoices and then settle transactions here. Right, I'll click this and my invoice 102. I'll settle it against that, then post it real quick. Happen just a second. Yes, so the posting has already happened. So it, if you observe, it was 30 more than that, but it reduced the settled value 3,700. So if I go back to the balance again, so in transactions, so you won't see that particular transaction which was created. So earlier the balance was 48,000 and now it's, yeah, I mean it's the open transactions, you won't see that here right now. That's a refresh issue. So yeah, so this is how you will settle the rebate transactions or the future revenues with the purchase invoices so that your payable decreases. So that's more about explaining the scenario 6.10, which was a standard rebate agreement. So this rebate agreement that I have created here and the purchase order generated is in the standard Dynamics 365. It's standard Dynamics 365. It has unlike the previous example where we have used advanced supply chain software. This is available in the standard Dynamics 365 solution. Thank you.